John, what's up, dude?
What's up, man?
Hey, thank you, you watching or listening. In addition to me and John, the three of us here, appreciate that. It's good to be with you. Make sure you're subscribing to YouTube, the Texans YouTube channel, so you get this quickly
Mm-hmm.
and promptly
Yep.
on a Wednesday.
Yep.
Happy Wednesday to you, John. Want to rewind just a teensy tiny bit to the weekend. I was at the JJ Watt Charity Classic.
Oh yeah.
It was awesome. That thing, since he started it in 2013, was awesome. He did it 13, 14, 15 there at Constellation Field. And then he switched it over to Minute Maid for about 2, 3 seasons more. COVID injuries kind of put that on pause. And then he went to Arizona, but he brought it back this year. And thank goodness he did, because it was just like the old days, which if you've not been to that event, get tickets next time it comes around, because I think it's going to come around again. I think he's going to keep doing this. All the former players were there that he was pals with. Not all, but many of them. Many of the current players were there. Stephon Diggs was there. Will Anderson. It was awesome. And it's fun seeing dudes that you pigeonholed into this is what they are. They're football players doing something that they're not, softball players. And even though, John, the current guys got smoked, 14. They put a charity run on the board for them. The one they didn't score. They did get it. It was they got destroyed.
Yeah.
But even though the current players got destroyed, they're still like, they did some stuff in the field every once in a while that you're like, oh yeah, those guys are professional athletes that, like just try, like they could have turned a double play if they'd have known to throw to first, but just covering the bag, getting the, fielding things cleanly.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty cool, you know? And I guess that's the 8-year-old baseball coach in me seeing a ball go up in the air and then just like jacking the box out of the glove once it gets to the glove with the 8-year-olds. Didn't happen.
I mean,
jacking the box.
Everybody, with NFL, this conversation has come up. Austin Rivers started this, and obviously was looking for clicks and trolling people. And you could take 30 people out of the NBA and put them in the NFL. Like, no, you couldn't.
Maybe a few.
You
maybe
could. There are some that have
positions.
Right. There are some that have the side. Like, look, Julius Peppers, once played college basketball, and he was like the 6th, 7th guy in that team.
Not an NBA player though.
But he was not an NBA player, and he was a guy that ends up obviously being a Hall of Fame player in the NFL. I always get frustrated with this conversation, because to be a professional athlete in a sport, you have to be so good at that particular sport that at some point you have to specialize in it. And there are some over the years that have shown the athletic ability to play a couple sports in professional sports, and it's incredible to see Deion Sanders play baseball and football in the same freaking day. It was unreal. Bo Jackson, what he was doing, and others.
Brian Jordan.
But baseball is one of those that if you haven't thrown a baseball, you haven't hit a baseball, you will look absolutely foolish when you go out on a field and try and do it, even if you haven't done it in a long time. Like, I haven't done it in a long time. It would take a while for it to come back for me, but I played it. In fact, I'm almost played it in college. But baseball is so specific. Football in some sense, and some people will say this, but this is true in some cases. Like, if you just take the guy across from you and you just get in a big sumo fight with him, you can win that. Obviously we know it's more technical than that, but sometimes it comes down to that. Sometimes in football, you can run right by a guy and go catch a pass. That's just one part of the game. In baseball, like, if you're hitting the ball, like, you hit the ball. That's it. There's no, you hit the ball, you field the ball, you throw the ball. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
and baseball and softball, that jiggles things a little bit, man.
Oh yeah. Baseball and softball is definitely different.
Titus Howard was talking about, because Titus, when he was in high school, was a really good baseball player.
Yeah.
A lefty pitcher, and he could hit. And when he got up and when he was hitting in the home run derby and when he was hitting at the plate, you could tell that guy's played before.
Yeah.
That guy's very good. But he wasn't getting all of it. And he was talking about it on the side. He's like, he's like, first of all, you guys got to move forward in the box, because the balls, like, he had all the technical stuff down. He's like, I gotta get a different bat, because I can't swing this bat up. So even he was adjusting to that. And it's
so much so.
Whereas you got Shane Leckler, who's playing softball all the time. He's coaching his daughters, who are their collegiate level. Yeah, they're in high school. They're going to play in college if they want to.
Yeah.
And he's just smacking. He's there.
He's being Shane Leckler.
He's good at everything.
Yeah.
Shane Leckler is good at everything. Absolutely. If you didn't already know that, Shane Leckler, when he was in high school, he was all-state as an outside linebacker, quarterback, and punter on the football team.
Yep.
I think they won a state title, or they got to the state title game in basketball. I believe he won or was in the final round of the state title in golf. And he was a hell of a baseball player. He took them deep into the playoffs. I mean, I think he might have been all state in all 4 sports.
He was incredible.
He was phenomenal. Yeah.
He's still incredible. He's still an athlete. And, you know,
Texans
fishing,
emergency
hunting. I mean,
quarterback.
he is Texan to the core
Mhm.
with all that he can do. It's pretty incredible. But you're right about the baseball softball thing. When I was in college, our buddy Lance Airline, he said, "Hey man, why don't you want to come play?" Because I would come home for the summers. I was really the only one from my class that would come home from the summers because I was working at Amical Pipeline out in Texas City. So I would drive an hour, 15 minutes there and back every single day to have this job. Thought it would turn into an engineering job in Chicago, and it did, and then it didn't, and now I'm here. But I remember when he asked me to come play, he's like, softball, we'll have fun and playing center field and all that. I was like, okay. And I loved it. But man, I'm telling you, the first 2 games, I didn't touch a ball. I couldn't do it. I was so used to baseball where the timing had to be there. Yep. And then finally I started getting my timing down and went to, the slow pitch, like wait for it. And then I just started hitting line drives all over the place. But it took me a good 2 games to kind of figure it all out. So if you haven't done that before, it's going to be tough on that slow pitch stuff. Man, it's tough. But such a great event. Thanks to JJ for doing that and what it brings to the Houston community, and obviously his charities. What he's been doing for what he's done with his charity, for the whole time that he's been in Houston has been incredible. He's never forgotten about us, even though he moved on to Arizona for a few years. He's never forgotten about this place, and it's just been incredible to watch and incredible for people to experience that.
He's probably watching or listening right now. I mean, up there with Dave Howard. Shout out Dave Howard. Good to see you. Good to hear you. I think those 2 are probably the alpha hyper consumers of this podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
JJ Watt and Dave Howard. So JJ, thank you.
Yes,
keep doing this. Not that you're considering not doing it, but keep doing it. It's phenomenal. We love you, and we wouldn't mind seeing you on the football field if that happens. It'd be kind of fun. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about some over-unders schedule release-wise.
Okay.
You and Mark have been killing it on Texans All Access recently because, hey, it was May the 4th weekend. So because of the Star Wars stuff, you brought up the villains that the Texans have had.
The hierarchy of evil, we called it.
That. You did a mock, not a mock draft. You've done many, but you did a mock schedule for the Texans.
Yeah.
It's an article on HoustonTexans.com. Read that. You guys talked about it at length over the last few nights. It's been awesome. You guys, if you aren't listening to Texans All Access, something's wrong with you. You're not really a true Texans fan. But hey, if you're listening to this, you, JJ, you, Dave, and you also, the other person, you got this.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, John, over under 3.5 primetime games the Texans will have in 2024. And primetime is not just at night. Primetime would include
Thanksgiving,
a Christmas, a London, just a time when that's the only game that's on, and it's the one you're going to watch.
In my schedule, I went over. I had four night games.
Okay.
I should have put that in quotes. I'm doing my air quotes. I had 4 night games. I had opener Monday night against the Jets. I had a Sunday night at Kansas City. I had a Sunday night home against the Bills, and I had a Monday night home against the Lions. So that would be 2 night games on the road, 2 night games at home. Then I had Thanksgiving against Dallas. I just felt like that was the best matchup, just looking at the teams that Dallas was playing. Like, man, what would make a really good Thanksgiving? Man, this makes a great Thanksgiving. And then I don't know if it's considered prime time, but the Saturday games in December, it's always those Saturday games. They give you both dates, either this or that.
I think if it's the only game that's on at that time, I think that's a prime time, right?
So I gave them a Saturday game.
Okay.
So 4 night games, Thanksgiving, and then that's Saturday. So
that's 6.
That ends up being, I guess you count it from that way, 6.
Who's the Saturday? Who would you think it's against?
Minnesota. Thanksgiving at Dallas, and then Saturday, December 28th at Minnesota. So that was the Minnesota game is sandwiched in. And this is what was interesting. I didn't even know this, but as I wrote this and sent it in, posted, Mark's looking at it and he looks at it and goes, whoa. The last 3 games I had were home Indy. Oh, no, it was at Indy, at Minnesota, home Indianapolis. That's the exact order of teams we played in 2012.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. But at 2012, we played home home, road. This one would be road, home. Either way, I didn't even look at the 2024 schedule, but what I noticed about it was we played the exact same teams except for we played Denver instead of Kansas City. Right. And then you add on Dallas because we have the 17th game. So we're playing the exact teams we played in 22. I didn't even notice that.
Flip-flop the homes with the roads as part of the NFC North.
Right,
so
right.
You don't go to Chicago and you don't go to Detroit. They come here.
So you flip that. You're playing the same team. I'm like, wow. So then I started looking at the similarities that I had in the 2012 schedule. We had 4 night games. We had a Thanksgiving game.
Yep.
And then we had the end of the schedule, which was those teams, Indy, Minnesota, Indy, to end the schedule. And we start, there was one other similarity I can't think of right now, but I started looking at 2012 and I thought of my schedule like, whoa, that's weird. That's strange. Because in 2012, we had played Chicago on a Sunday night.
And Chicago was good.
Yeah. Played a Monday night at New England, which everybody unfortunately remembers for the wrong reasons. Played Sunday night against the Packers.
Yeah,
here
that was the first loss of the season. You were 5-0, and then came in.
That was tough. And then there was
you had lost Cushing the week before,
and then you had to go against the Jets.
Massive blow. That I still think losing Cushing like that and having to trade away D'Amico in the offseason significantly weakened that defense.
That's why I asked when we did the hierarchy of evil. I'll ask you, Drew. In the hierarchy of evil, I wanted to put in Matt Slauson, Jets offensive lineman Matt Slauson.
Yeah.
Now
he's the guy that dove at Cushing's leg.
Right. And it got some run, but it was not enough to get him in the hierarchy of evil. But I said that same thing. I'm like, you'd already lost D'Amico. Now you lose Cushing. And now you're just trying to patchwork it together for the rest of the year. And you were super talented everywhere else in the field. And guys were you had to try and get the most out of Brady James and Barrett Ruud. And of course, you get to New England, you're toast.
Dude, I still have not had a chance to do this. There's going to come a time when, the situation is right. But I want to ask Nick Caserio this when he has a moment, there's no stress going on. I want to ask him, hey, ahead of that 12 Monday Night Football matchup, was Belichick basically like this? Was he like, okay, well, they've got a good defensive line. Corners are solid. Good back end with Danielle Manning, Glover Quinn. Ding, 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 ding. Barrett Ruud, Brady James.
Yeah. I mean, that went off like a...
That must have. And then what they do? They'd attacked them with wide receivers, running backs, and just... Anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, that's I guarantee you that's exactly what they did. Knowing how they approach things, I guarantee they looked at it and went, wait a second, we've got running backs that could beat these guys. They were pass receiving running backs over the years, whether it was
James White,
whether it was Stephen Ridley, Shane Vereen, James White, any of those guys that they had, like, hey, when those guys are in a game, and you could, I remember there was one moment in that game, and I was doing overnights at that time. So I'm watching the game, like getting ready for my show. And I see, I'm like on the couch watching it in studio, and I'm watching going, oh God, please, no. They've got Ruud on oh no, Ruud's on Vereen. Oh no. And you could just see it. It was just like this beacon of light going, they're gonna throw Ruud, this guy.
Ruud could probably have handled that like 7 years prior.
Yeah. Right.
I think the Texans had pulled him off of
the
couch in November. Really good guy. I remember the first time I heard him spoke, I went up and I introduced myself in the locker room, and his locker was somewhat near Sean Cody's. And Cody heard him spoke, and Cody was like, ears pricked up. He's like, hey, brother, you got a really good deep voice. I like that voice of yours. So, it was fun.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Man, I could see that happening. Your scenario was 6. I think the number will be a little bit lower than that. I still think it hits the over 3.5.
Yeah.
My only quibble with yours is I think the NFL will put one of the primetime games, whether it's a Saturday afternooner, whether it's one of the others. I think one of them is going to be a divisional matchup.
Yeah,
I just think about it.
Yeah,
man, I know what a season the Texans had.
But
you were one play away there from if the Colts get that conversion late. What happens? I mean, things are different, and that's a pretty good team with a quarterback who I think we all think Anthony Richardson's going to be better than Gardner Minshew. I just think that, and Trevor Lawrence, what if they bounce back? They've added some stuff. Man, the Tennessee Titans they've got some weapons. I think this is a good division.
I
think a lot of crap. And I think you're going to see a divisional matchup slid in there, and I think it's going to be a hell of a game.
I don't disagree.
Hell of a
I don't
dog fight.
think, and Mark and I talked about this, I think if it's going to be a division matchup, I think it's going to be one that gets flexed in.
You think so?
I think it's going to be one that gets flexed in like last year. And that's why I got the Colts at the end of the year, because I think it could very easily come down to the Colts again. I mean, the Jaguars matchups, I didn't have the Jaguars matchups in periods where it could get flexed. The Titans, one of the Titans could, depending on what the Titans do, but the one Titans and two Colts are in positions where they could easily get flexed.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of had that as a thought process as I went through. Like, I don't think they would give a straight up just AFC South. Now, I do think they could Thursday night it. They could do a Thursday night, but since I had the Texans penciled in with the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, I thought, well, no, it doesn't mean that they can't have a Thursday night. Because I think the Cowboys, if I remember correctly, the Cowboys played on a Thanksgiving afternoon and then played on Thursday the next week. If I remember correctly.
That's happened. Absolutely. That has happened in their history.
So the Texans could have that Thanksgiving game and then have a Thursday game some other time, which I don't know if that will happen. I it's been done before, but I have felt like the division game, if it's going to be a division game, it's going to be flexed.
Well,
because I don't think, to your point, Drew, I don't know that people truly understand how good and how competitive this division could actually be in 2024.
Yeah. I think you do. I think I do.
Yeah.
We know Mark does.
Yeah.
I think many do. But yeah, a lot of the stuff I'm seeing on Twitter it's pretty interesting. Anyways, let's move on. Bye week. Before or after October 20th? You think it happens? When do you think it happens?
I'm going to say after.
God, I hope so. I hate that.
I said, I had it week 9 or week 10. I tried to put it right in the middle because that's where I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it right in the middle.
So I like it like November 1st.
That's where I put it. Now, the early buy just stinks. And it stinks for a number of reasons. I'll give you a couple of selfish ones. Number one, if you get the early buy and you're early October with that, which pretty much is about when it is, you still don't have good weather. You still have got 90+ degree weather.
Yeah.
I want to get it to November where if I'm going to have the the weekend off, if you will, I want 70 degrees. I want a little breeze. I want, maybe a little cloud cover. I want to be able to go out and go, yes, I got this weekend and this is great weather that I'm not going to sweat when I go do everything. I want to have good weather. So that's one selfish reason. Secondly, that stretch last year was long, long. Even though we were playing well and playing some really exciting games, that was a long stretch because we go, we went 5 games. Then the bye, I think, was week 6. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Something like that. It was too early.
It was too early.
Yeah.
So I think I put it, and we've had it, I think for 21 and 22, we had it like right in the middle, week 9 or week 10. It was like right in the middle. It was like, cool. I like this. Right in the middle. Get a longer stretch to start, but then, okay, catch your breath and then go. You didn't even really kind of get into the heart of the season. All of a sudden, boom, here's your bye.
Yeah. I say this. Perfect world, give me a Monday nighter in late September. Give me the bye November 1, and give me like a Thursday nighter or 2, or a Thursday nighter and a Monday nighter spaced out in November and December. Because you get weekends. You know, get those weekends in.
Yeah, those weekends are kind of nice to have.
Yeah.
Just at times. Yeah, absolutely. So I can't remember. I put it. Go read my article. You can check it out and see where I put it. I think it was week 9 that I put it in.
Okay.
I think that's where I put it because I think week 10 was a trip to Jacksonville, and I think that was in early November. So it was right around the last week. So week 9, if I'm doing my math correct, I'm looking at my calendar because that's what we do in the lab. That would have been the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So November 3rd.
Yeah.
The weekend of November 3rd. That would have been it if I'm looking at the right thing. So
all right, this isn't really schedule release, but over under, you're playing the Cowboys. Stroud's healthy. Both teams are pretty good. Doesn't matter where it is in the season. Over under, Texans fans will represent 35% of the crowd.
Over
On the road.
Over. I mean, even in 2022, it was not a.
What would you say it was like 45, 50%?
In 2022?
No, 20
Oh, 2014. I feel like it
2014,
was
the real.
It was over that number.
Yeah.
It was almost 50-50.
Yeah.
It was incredible to see. So I would imagine the Texans are playing well, and whether the Cowboys are playing well or not, but if the Texans are playing well, like even 2022 was not a massive number, but they're still, because it was Dallas and it was a game the Texans should have won.
Should have, could have, would have. Yeah.
Boy, there are a lot of things that we can end up doing this year that would be awesome. We could win in New England for the first time.
Yeah.
We could win in Dallas for the first time.
That'd be big. Never beat them in Texas Stadium.
Never beat them in Texas Stadium. Never, beat Dallas at Dallas. Never done it. So that would be kind of nice. So to get those 2 wins. Now I don't want to go 2-15, and those are the only 2 wins we have. But you get the point. Want to be successful, but I think to do so, you got to win those games and beat those good teams on the road. And New England's not obviously what they were, so you got to go in there and do work. So I had New England week 3, but yeah, I think if we're playing well and we're playing like people expect us to, I think that could be 50-55% or more. I mean, our fans will show up to make a point, as they did in 2014. I mean, that was, I still say that was the most incredible environment, because
it was a college game.
It was a college game, and we obviously coming to Tech. There are no such things. There's no such thing as a neutral site game until you get the Super Bowl. But the Super Bowl is different because a lot of corporate. It's just different.
Yeah.
But a college game, you go to a college rivalry game. Like I've been to Florida, Georgia.
Texas, Oklahoma is awesome.
I wish I had been to that.
Oh, you never been?
Never been.
Oh, you got to go to that.
But it's split down the middle. Whether it's long ways with whatever, it's split down the middle. And it's incredible to hear one side of the stadium cheer while the other one is quiet. I mean, it was like the national championship game in some sense, being here with Washington and Michigan, because Washington's fans showed up. They showed up in droves, not as much as Michigan. But then you would hear, when Washington would do something, you would hear that crowd like in the distance. And when Michigan would do it, it would be like this roar from this side. It was really interesting, and that's what made that game in 14 so incredible. Was that, because you would hear Texans. It wasn't in every other place you're going to hear the home crowd or you're going to hear the Texans crowd, whether it's a home or away game. But that one, it was split. It really was like a college game, and it just made it that much more exciting. It was incredible.
Sure did. All right, it's always incredible talking with you, John.
Yeah,
man. Thanks for doing this.
Good to see you and talk to you, Drew.
And again, Dave Howard, JJ Watt, and you. We appreciate you checking this out. This has been In the Lab. We'll do another one next week. Next week, the schedule's coming out Wednesday, so it's going to be fun. So until then, au revoir.